General Hospital spoilers will reveal. The latest revelations from General Hospital suggest that Jocelyn Jacks is reaching a point where patience is no longer an option. The emotional weight she has been carrying continues to grow heavier, pushing her toward a bold and potentially dangerous decision involving Sonny Corinthos. For Jocelyn, this is no longer simply about anger or rebellion. It is about a deep conviction that something must change. The wounds left behind by the violence surrounding Sonny's world have shaped her perception of justice, morality, and family. As those emotions intensify, it becomes clear that Jocelyn is not someone who will quietly accept the consequences of Sonny's actions any longer. Instead, she appears determined to challenge the power and influence that Sonny has held over Port Charles for decades, even if doing so means risking everything she once believed about her own family. The confrontation between Jocelyn and Carly Spencer in the March 5 episode made it clear that the writers are revisiting a darker, more volatile side of Jocelyn's character. The tension between mother and daughter exposed a painful divide that has been building for some time. Carly has spent years navigating the complicated reality of loving Sonny while acknowledging the danger that follows him. Jocelyn, however, no longer sees that complexity. From her perspective, Sonny represents the root of countless tragedies that have touched their lives. The conversation revealed how far Jocelyn has emotionally drifted from Carly's understanding of the situation. What Carly sees as survival within a dangerous world, Jocelyn now views as a moral failure that has allowed violence and corruption to continue unchecked. Part of Carly's confusion comes from the fact that Jocelyn has already taken an extreme step in the name of justice. After losing Dex Heller in such a brutal and devastating way, Jocelyn sought revenge against Cyrus Renault and ultimately killed him. That moment was supposed to bring closure, or at least some sense of emotional balance. Instead, it only deepened Jocelyn's internal conflict. Carly believed that Jocelyn's actions were driven purely by grief and love for Dex, but the reality appears more complicated. Rather than calming her anger, the act of revenge seems to have opened a door to a darker sense of purpose. Carly struggles to understand why Jocelyn would now align herself with the WSB, especially after everything that has already happened. Eventually, Jocelyn's emotions reached a breaking point, and she finally revealed what had been simmering beneath the surface. In a moment of raw honesty, she admitted that her true goal is to take down Sonny and eliminate the influence of people like him. For Jocelyn, Sonny is no longer just a flawed father figure, or a complicated part of her family history. He represents a system of power built on fear, violence, and manipulation. Her words carried a sense of urgency that suggested this was not simply a passing outburst. Instead, it felt like a declaration of war against everything Sonny has built. That confession transformed the conversation from a family disagreement into something far more serious and potentially explosive. Jocelyn's passionate explanation about Sonny's impact on their lives further highlighted the depth of her frustration. She reflected on the constant danger that has surrounded their family for years, the fear that never truly disappears, and the painful losses that seem tied to Sonny's world. In her mind, Sonny's influence has brought nothing but suffering to the people she loves most. Each tragedy has added another layer of resentment and bitterness. Jocelyn believes that Sonny's power has allowed him to escape accountability time and time again, leaving others to suffer the consequences of his choices. To her, the cycle of violence will never end unless someone finally takes a stand and breaks it. Because of this belief, Jocelyn has reached the conclusion that she cannot wait for Carly to experience what she calls a moment of clarity. From Jocelyn's perspective, Carly has spent too many years defending Sonny, rationalizing his actions, and protecting him from the consequences he deserves. Waiting for Carly to change her mind would mean allowing more damage to happen in the meantime. That is why Jocelyn seems prepared to act on her own, even if it means crossing lines that she once thought she would never cross. The question now becomes what form her plan might take. Whether she intends to use the resources of the WSB, gather evidence against Sonny's operations, or orchestrate a larger strategy to dismantle his empire, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Jocelyn is preparing for a confrontation that could change the balance of power in Port Charles forever. For many years, Sonny Corinthos has managed to remain untouchable despite the countless accusations and suspicions surrounding his criminal empire. Time after time, authorities have attempted to build cases against him, yet somehow, he always finds a way to slip through the cracks of the justice system. His influence, connections, and careful manipulation of circumstances have allowed him to avoid serious legal consequences that would have destroyed most other men in his position. Because of this long history of survival, the idea that Jocelyn Jacks could suddenly succeed where experienced investigators, federal agents, and law enforcement officials have repeatedly failed seems almost impossible. Sonny has spent decades learning how to protect himself, how to erase evidence, and how to ensure that nothing can be directly traced back to him. If Jocelyn truly believes she can force him to face legal punishment, she may be underestimating just how deeply rooted Sonny's protection network really is. Another possibility that makes the situation even more disturbing is the thought that Jocelyn might consider taking a far more extreme path. Her anger towards Sonny has grown so intense that some viewers may wonder whether she could cross the ultimate line and attempt to eliminate him herself. Yet, this scenario raises serious moral questions that Jocelyn may not fully understand yet. Taking Sonny's life would not erase the damage that has already been done in Port Charles. Instead, it would trap Jocelyn in the same cycle of violence that she claims to despise. The emotional weight of such a decision would follow her forever, and the legal consequences would destroy any future she might hope to have. Even though her pain and rage are understandable, the idea of Jocelyn becoming a killer in cold blood feels incompatible with the values she once believed defined her. In fact, if Jocelyn were to take such a drastic step, her actions could be viewed as equally destructive, or perhaps even worse than the behavior she condemns in Sonny. Sonny has always justified his choices through a distorted belief that he is protecting his family and maintaining order in a dangerous world. While many people reject that reasoning, Sonny still operates within a complicated moral code that he believes serves a purpose. If Jocelyn were to act purely out of vengeance, without any sense of restraint or responsibility, she could lose the very moral ground she claims to stand on. The line between justice and revenge is dangerously thin, and once someone crosses it, there is often no way to return to who they were before. However, there is another possibility that seems far more likely and far more strategic. Rather than attempting something reckless or violent, Jocelyn could focus on exposing Sonny through evidence that places him in an impossible position. Unlike the impulsive anger she displayed in the past, this approach would require patience, intelligence, and careful planning. Jocelyn has already demonstrated that she is capable of thinking several steps ahead when the situation demands it. If she were to uncover proof that directly links Sonny to illegal activity or corruption, she might finally be able to create a situation where Sonny cannot simply talk his way out of trouble. Evidence, when placed in the right hands, has the power to do what decades of accusations have failed to accomplish. This possibility leads to an intriguing question about Sonny's current situation involving Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner. Their secret relationship is already incredibly dangerous, not only for Sonny but also for Justine herself. A prosecutor is expected to uphold the law with complete integrity, and any romantic connection with someone like Sonny could destroy her career instantly if it were revealed. If Jocelyn were searching for leverage against Sonny, this scandal could represent exactly the kind of vulnerability she needs. Unlike rumors about Sonny's criminal dealings, a personal relationship with a prosecutor would be a scandal that could not easily be dismissed or explained away. The damage to Sonny's reputation and legal standing could be immediate and devastating. Sonny himself seems to understand just how fragile this situation truly is. His admission that the relationship with Justine could cost him his life if exposed reveals the level of risk he is taking. In Sonny's world, secrets are currency, and once those secrets fall into the wrong hands, they can become deadly weapons. If Jocelyn were to uncover the truth about Sonny and Justine, she would suddenly possess a piece of information capable of shaking Sonny's entire empire. What began as a personal conflict between a daughter figure and a powerful crime boss could quickly evolve into something far larger, something capable of bringing down one of the most influential men in Port Charles. And if that secret does fall into Jocelyn's hands, the consequences for Sonny could be far more dangerous than any confrontation he has faced before. The storyline unfolding in General Hospital increasingly emphasizes that Sonny Corinthos may be standing on extremely dangerous ground. In the complex world Sonny operates in, loyalty and suspicion often exist side by side, and even the slightest hint of betrayal can turn allies into enemies overnight. Recently, concerns have begun to surface among Sonny's business associates that he might be sharing information with Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner. In an environment where trust is fragile and reputations are built on fear and silence, even an unfounded rumor can spark paranoia. If Sonny's partners begin to suspect that he is cooperating with a prosecutor, the consequences could be deadly. Within the criminal world Sonny helped build, anyone perceived as a potential informant quickly becomes a liability that must be eliminated. This creates a situation where Sonny could unintentionally place himself in mortal danger simply by allowing his personal life to overlap with the legal system. Sonny has always been careful to maintain clear boundaries between his private relationships and his criminal operations. However, the growing intimacy between him and Justine threatens to blur those lines in ways that could prove catastrophic. If word spreads that Sonny has developed a personal connection with a prosecutor, the narrative among his associates could shift quickly from curiosity to suspicion. In their eyes, even the appearance of cooperation with law enforcement could mark Sonny as compromised. What began as a private encounter could ultimately turn him into a target for those who once considered him an indispensable partner. At the same time, Justine Turner herself is taking an enormous professional risk by becoming involved with someone like Sonny. As an assistant district attorney, her career depends entirely on the perception that she upholds the law without compromise. The moment her relationship with Sonny becomes public knowledge, that credibility could collapse instantly. Her colleagues, superiors, and the public would question every case she has touched, wondering whether her judgment had been influenced by personal feelings. Even if Justine believed she could keep her emotions separate from her responsibilities, the mere existence of such a relationship would be enough to destroy her reputation. For someone who has likely spent years building a respected legal career, the consequences could be devastating. Because of these risks, it would seem logical for both Sonny and Justine to convince themselves that their encounter should remain a single moment that never repeats itself. Both of them have strong reasons to walk away before things spiral out of control. Sonny understands how dangerous his world can be, and Justine knows exactly how unforgiving the legal system can be when one of its own crosses the line. A single evening together could be dismissed as a mistake, an impulsive lapse in judgment that both of them quietly choose to forget. In theory, ending things immediately would protect them from the fallout that would inevitably follow if their connection continued. Yet the narrative hints strongly that neither Sonny nor Justine will be able to maintain that distance for long. There is a magnetic pull between them that seems to override logic and caution. The intensity of their connection suggests that their story is far from finished. Instead of quietly moving on, the two may find themselves drawn back into each other's orbit again and again. The very danger surrounding their relationship may even deepen its allure, creating a sense that every meeting carries both excitement and risk. If that pattern continues, it becomes almost inevitable that more secret encounters will take place, each one increasing the chances that someone will eventually discover what is happening behind closed doors. Sonny himself seems aware of the gamble he is taking. He understands better than anyone that the more risks he accepts, the greater the odds that something will eventually go wrong. In Sonny's world, every decision is a calculated wager, and he has survived for years by knowing when to push his luck and when to step back. However, the growing connection with Justine may represent a bet that even Sonny cannot control. The storyline appears to be building toward a moment when their secrecy fails, when someone finally witnesses what they have been trying to hide. That possibility becomes even more intriguing when considering Jocelyn Jacks and her determination to bring Sonny down. If Jocelyn were somehow to capture photographic evidence of Sonny and Justine together in an unmistakably intimate situation, the consequences could be explosive. Such proof would not only threaten Sonny's reputation within the criminal world, but could also destroy Justine's legal career overnight. For Jocelyn, those images could become the leverage she has been searching for, a weapon capable of exposing both Sonny's vulnerability and Justine's professional misconduct. In that scenario, a single photograph could ignite a chain reaction that reshapes alliances, destroys reputations, and places Sonny in the most precarious position he has faced in years.